Welcome back. It is 12 noon. Welcome. This is Three-Man Front. We're live at Social Taco. Pat and Landrum, we are live on location. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Tonight is a very big night. It will be the first edition of this year's college football playoff rankings. And joining us now from ESPN.com, ESPN, Adam Rittenberg joins us now. Adam, I hope you're doing well. It's kind of exciting that we're going to have our first rankings tonight. You think the chalk's going to hold basically what yourself and Heather Dinich and the rest of the folks at ESPN been talking about in regards to perhaps the top four being from the Big Ten and the SEC?
Yeah, good to be with you guys. Certainly, it could. I think there'll be some interesting, nuggets in there, though. Who's really number one? How does the rest of the top five shake out? Where's Notre Dame? Where are the ACC contenders now that Miami has a couple of losses and Georgia Tech has a loss on its resume? So there's still certainly some intrigue. I like these rankings because they're kind of a chance to get really upset for no reason because they're going to change week to week. But in that moment, I think we're gonna get a little bit of a glimpse as to how the committee's thinking about some of these teams at this point in the season.
Adam, with all of the backlash, the committee's going to get backlash every single year, but all the backlash they got after the announcement was made of last year's 12-team field and some of the specifics that people want to see, the transparency, weighing this schedule versus a quality loss, all of that good stuff. How keenly aware do you believe that those committee members are, and do you think that they try to convey more transparency and address those issues that so many of us college football fans are concerned about?
Yeah, I think it's important to be as transparent as they can because I think there is still a degree of doubt about just how legitimate this process is. I mean, it's a real reason why, the Big Ten has proposed what it has is because they don't have great faith in the committee. And the SEC maybe last year felt it should have been more represented in the field of 12. So I do think on the committee, they have to speak for everybody or they have to address everybody that's impacted by their decisions. So how they explain that is going to be really important, especially with this first set of rankings and the first time we get to hear from Mack Rhoades in this setting. So, I think the quality loss thing is fascinating, or even the quality win. Like, how will Oregon's win over Penn State be viewed? Will it be viewed as a win over a team that's fallen apart and has fired a coach? Or will it be viewed as a really quality road win at the time against a team that then fell apart? That was the game that sort of broke Penn State. So I think there's a number of examples like that, guys, that I think we'll have a sense of how the committee sees them tonight.
Well, first things, we all understand, Adam, that this is the first edition, that there's a lot of football left to be played, so this is just a starting point. But I can just hear it, not sure if it's going to happen tonight, but Alabama is a one-loss team, lost to Florida State. You have Texas A&M. They're undefeated. In the situation that Alabama is ranked tonight above Texas A&M, is that out of the stretch of reality in your opinion based on who Alabama has been able to beat so far being ranked opponents?
Yeah, I think it's possible, but it certainly doesn't seem likely to me just because of the way that A&M has played. And A&M hasn't just won most of its games. It's been dominant at times, although, the win against Notre Dame came down to the wire. Certainly the game at Arkansas is probably not one that boosts their profile a whole lot, but they have been really impressive and certainly were in the second half against LSU. I guess if they just want to go by the wins against, AP ranked opponents and they're not really supposed to take that into account, you could lean towards Alabama. And I do think it's close between those two for maybe the number 3 spot. But I think at this point in the season, the fact that they're both in the same league, that A&M has some really quality wins on its resume, and they've managed to stay undefeated, likely will keep them ahead of Alabama.
Adam, I realize that these rankings, they will continue to change. The schedule has not been played out. We're going to get some really pivotal matchups. But as far as right now, what you think we will see those initial rankings, which team or teams to you just don't pass the eye test or the smell test?
That would be in the field. I think, again, what we saw out of the ACC this past weekend is a bit concerning. The fact that Miami loses a game that it shouldn't have lost, that Georgia Tech, which had been really impressive, goes out and it struggles so much defensively in that loss to NC State. So I think where they're ranked is going to be interesting. I think where Notre Dame is placed. Notre Dame's a team that played a tough early season schedule, lost games to Miami and A&M that were both winnable. And then they've kind of cruised since then, although they weren't overly impressive last week against Boston College. So I think that's an interesting team. And then some of those SEC, where will Texas be ranked? Texas hasn't really played that much good football this season, if you really break it down. Where are they going to be ranked? Vanderbilt, how impressive have they really been, given what we've seen out of LSU and some of the other teams that they've beaten? So I think how they're viewed, and then will anyone in the Big Ten other than Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon be looked at as a potential playoff candidate? Because we haven't talked about teams like Washington and Iowa and USC. Where do they fall in this mix? Because they all have opportunities to help their profiles. Both USC and Washington face Oregon. So does Iowa this week in Iowa City. So I think how they're slotted in this initial ranking will be telling.
I want to go back to Notre Dame. You just mentioned them, and this is a program now that they are probably going to be potentially maybe a top 10 team ranked tonight, according to the CFP. A lot of people had them for dead just a couple weeks ago. Just take us the rest of the way in regards to what you think this Notre Dame team, I guess what the ceiling is, or what's the pitfalls for the Fighting Irish getting back in the CFP?
Well, yeah, I think Notre Dame would benefit from some of these teams, especially in the SEC, playing their way out of the mix. Having that third loss and then being behind Notre Dame in that overall record. And Notre Dame, again, both of their games that they lost, they were in. The A&M game I was at, you could certainly say that they kind of gave that one away with how they defended A&M there at the end on that last drive with multiple opportunities to finish off the game, but they fell short. And now they have to win games. They have to win out. They have to be impressive. And they weren't overly impressive last week against Boston College, a team with only one win this season. So you look at what they have left. Navy this week, it's a Navy team with a good record, but they haven't really played a whole lot of quality opponents. And then they have a game at Pitt next week on the road, which I think will be by far their toughest game. Pitt has been really good since they made a quarterback switch. And even though Notre Dame has played better defensively here as of late, that's going to really challenge just how good they are. And then, finish off with Syracuse and Stanford. So really that Pitt game to me is the one that we'll know, whether Notre Dame is truly in this conversation, because they simply can't afford a third loss.
All right. Starting to have this conversation as we watch the games and we see the finals come in every weekend. Curt Cignetti in Indiana, they're clearly better than they were last year. Adam, you watch a lot of ball. You watch a lot of Big Ten. How good is Indiana in your opinion?
Excellent football team. And you could certainly take shots at maybe their talent level not being where Ohio State is or where Alabama is or some of those teams in the SEC. But the way that they play, and they don't really have a weakness, and they've also addressed some of the areas where they fell short in the playoff last year, which is offensive line. They're deeper there. Quarterback, they've improved, obviously, with Fernando Mendoza, being an NFL prospect. And I think they've set themselves up to overcome some of the injuries that they really weren't at the end of last season. So, again, they lead the nation in points margin. I was at their game against Illinois. Really unbelievable performance. And other than that game at Iowa, they have really controlled pretty much every opportunity that they've been in so far this season. So, again, people are going to have views on them because it's Indiana and it's not a traditional elite team. But if you watch them, you have to respect what they did and what they've done so far. And they, in my mind, are absolutely a national title contender.
Adam Rittenberg joins us for a few more minutes from ESPN, ESPN.com, as we're talking about tonight's first rankings of the college football playoff. Got to ask you about the Southeastern Conference. 25% vacancy right now in the head coaching positions, and we're just barely into November. As you look at the 4 job openings in the Southeastern Conference, is there one that just jumps off the page to you, Adam, that saying, you know what, that's the best job out there? Man, they're going to be able to land a big fish. Is there one out there for you?
Well, I think for me it's 2 different questions. Can they actually land the big fish is probably a more complicated one.
Sure.
But I think, both LSU and Florida are tier 1 jobs to me. They both won national championships, multiple national championships in my lifetime, which is one of the measuring sticks that I use. But I also just look at the LSU job with all the problems and all the dysfunction, which has obviously played out here the last couple of weeks. It's still the only job in a high talent producing state where you're the only Power Four program. When I look at the states in this country that produce the most players, it's certainly Florida and Texas, but it's where you guys are in Alabama. It's in Georgia. It's in Ohio. It's in Michigan. All those programs have multiple Power Fours. Louisiana is the only one that has just one in LSU, and that's a massive advantage when you're thinking about it from a coaching standpoint. They have great fans. They have great facilities. They have all of those other things. But just the access to talent, I don't know if there's a program that has more than LSU does. So I'm fascinated to see what they do because we're dealing with a very interesting candidate pool that seems to be reducing by the week with a number of coaches re-signing with their original programs. And so who's available for LSU? How wide is their search? It's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But to me, that's still the best job of the four that are open.
In regards to the rest of the country, we've already seen, obviously, the four in this conference. Who knows? Might be another or two, maybe changing jobs in this conference. But just the overall landscape of college football, are you shocked still by the number of coaches that are losing their jobs and schools are paying these large buyouts? Or do you think it's pretty much settled down and we won't have that big turnover the rest of this cycle?
Well, no, I think we still have potential for more openings, whether it's in the Big Ten at, Michigan State. Wisconsin has had a really rough season. There's certainly there's some movement to get Luke Fickell out of there. Maryland, what do you do with Mike Locksley? It's kind of the same story every year. And then you can certainly look at some of the other programs. There's some buzz around Baylor right now with Dave Aranda, who's still done a good job, but they may be ready to kind of move forward. Florida State, putting out a statement that we're going to address at the end of the regular season, and still could prompt a coaching change there with Mike Norvell. So I think there is quite a lot of movement. I think what I probably misjudged a little bit was looking at NIL and player compensation as, that's where the money's going to go. I think what it really is, hey, when we've invested collectively in a roster like Ohio State did last year, or like Penn State did, or LSU did this year, and the roster's not delivering like Ohio State did last year, then people get very unhappy and very impatient and are willing to cut ties with the coach and then give somebody else the same opportunity with that same level of investment. I think what's going to be really interesting, guys, is whether the back-end investment matches the front end. There's been so much discussion about the buyout totals to make these coaches go away. Are you going to invest on the back end for the next coach? Are you going to give them the resources? And you need to look no further than what Indiana did. And I think Tom Allen's a good coach. They did not give Tom nearly what they've given Kurt, right. And that's helped lead to this incredible historic rise. And so that's what you have to do. If it's easy to fire the coach. It's a lot harder to then reinvest the way you need to in the next coach in the program.
He always delivers. Adam Rittenberg, senior writer, college football there at ESPN, at ESPN Rittenberg on X. Adam, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much. We'll be eagerly anticipating tonight's unveiling and then criticizing the committee for the following weeks until we finally get that final field announced. Adam, all the best. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll talk soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Adam Rittenberg, ESPN. We wait tonight. Some of the big takeaways, what Adam thinks we could see potentially. It's going to be very, very interesting. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Abide Roofing is raising the roof, literally. Abide Roofing is giving one deserving homeowner a brand new roof, completely free. This isn't a gimmick. It's not a sales pitch. It's their way of saying thank you to the community that's trusted Abide with their homes. Here's how it's going to work. Fill out the quick form at abideroof.com. Look for a green bar at the top of the homepage. Nominate yourself or someone who deserves it. Then watch out for the winning announcement, which is going to be coming up in December. You can nominate yourself or someone who deserves it. Then watch for the winner again coming up in December. Value up to a 30-square roof or roughly $13,000. Maybe it's someone who's fallen on hard times and can't afford repairs, or a single parent working two jobs just to make ends meet. Maybe it's a veteran, first responder, or a teacher who's always giving back to others. Or maybe it's that neighbor who volunteers for every local event, a true pillar of the community. Whoever it is, they want to hear your story at Abide Roofing, because at Abide Roofing, they believe everyone deserves a safe, reliable roof over their head, and it's their way of giving back. Don't wait. Entries are open now. Enter through December 12th, 2025. Winner will be announced on December 19th, 2025. So for complete details and to enter for the free roofing giveaway, just go to abideroof.com.
We will continue some takeaways. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN just told us about the college football playoff initial rankings. Also, a lot of responses on the text line. Those of you waiting patiently on the phone lines, we'll get to those phone calls as well. It's Three-Man Front on a beautiful Tuesday here in the state of Alabama, live from the Terrace at Social Taco in Homewood on Josh.
It is 12:19. Appreciate Adam Rittenberg from ESPN, ESPN.com, joining the program. I just saw this a few moments ago. Mike Rodak posted this at Bama 247. I'm just going to read it directly, and you can take it for what it's worth. As LSU prepares this week to play Alabama under interim coach Frank Wilson, one of the Tigers' most famous former athletes shared a rumor he's heard about a former Tide football coach being pursued for the open job. Former LSU basketball player and NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal told Us Weekly in an interview published Monday that he's heard of conversations between LSU and Nick Saban as part of the coaching search. Here's the quote. I heard through the grapevine that they have been having conversations with Nick Saban. That'd be awesome if we could bring Nick back. Are you worried, Conrad? Do you think he will be back at LSU?
No, sorry, Pat. No, I'm not worried about.
I was about
Nick
to speak
Saban,
for Conrad.
Returning.
I thought like maybe he had like
sense.
passed out because he heard that quote from Shaq and he was worried.
If it does happen, though, can we have a camera set up just on Conrad? Because I want to see that facial expression.
I heard through the grapevine that they were having conversations with Nick Saban. That'd be awesome if we could bring Nick back.
I can't entertain it. I'm sorry, I like to play along, but that's silly.
Again, I will say the same thing I said last week. Do I think that somebody with ties to LSU has tried to reach out and have a conversation with Nick Saban? Absolutely. Why would you not? But do I think he's interested in that conversation? No. Do you see the video of him getting the birthday cake the other night? Didn't he look so comfortable just sitting in his recliner with his blanket all cozied up with that birthday cake?
Conrad's just trying to tell himself he's not going back. He's not going back.
So are
What
you
if they-
saying the opposite?
What if
No,
they
I'm
agreed? What if they agreed he had the similar setup that he has in Tuscaloosa? He's got the office that he rarely uses. He comes in on game days just to be the presence on the sideline.
Or he's not even on the sideline.
Not just teams.
Does the don't you remember when he had COVID and Sarkisian coached the Iron Bowl?
Yeah.
You remember that?
He's already done this.
Listen, I had people that told me it was the funniest thing in the world when he had COVID, and it was when Charlie Strong was a special assistant to Nick Saban, and Saban couldn't be around the football team. So that week during practice, guess what was happening? Charlie Strong literally was walking around with an iPad with Nick Saban's face on the iPad because it was, doing Teams or Skype or whatever. Good to see you, PG.
Good
Take
to see
care.
you, PJ. Thank you.
Take care. So he was literally walking around the practice, Charlie Strong was, holding an iPad of just Nick Saban's mug. And Nick Saban was watching practice yelling and cussing everybody out during practice off the iPad. They'll say he could do that at LSU. He could be in Jupiter.
Yep.
He could be, hanging out at the beach.
Big Alabama fan. He just texted me and said maybe they were reaching out to Nick to say who
you recommend.
Yeah, who he would recommend.
He better not be giving them advice. He's an employee of another university in the
Would that
Southeastern
just break
Conference.
that would break your spirit?
What if he took the job at LSU?
No. If he recommended somebody that they hired,
I
and
really-
they took over and they just started winning games.
I mean, I wouldn't
Beating
really care
Alabama
about
again
that.
in Tiger Stadium.
But if Nick Saban did return to coaching, and especially if it was to LSU, I might have a heart attack. That would actually be one of the that would be a tough pill to swallow.
Well, at that point, are we taking names off of things?
You better not name that field after him anymore.
It'd be there we go.
Yep.
It'd be really, really uncomfortable, I think, for Greg Byrne. Don't do it, Nick. Don't give in.
You had your chance 12 years ago to go to Texas. You didn't take it.
Well, you heard what Shaq
Don't go to
said.
LSU now.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. He could pay that buyout. He could pay that just with his Shaq Diesel DJ money.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what's the LSU? Because when you like with free agents and pro sports, right? When you're trying to convince them to sign with your team, you put together like this panel of former stars or people affiliated with the program. And so if you're LSU, what do? Shaq, Livy Dunn, maybe Paul Skeens comes. He wouldn't say anything. He would just kind of sit there in the corner. I don't know. Maybe you can bring back like the Honey Badger or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of what their superstar panel would be to try to entice somebody to take the LSU job.
Well, you'd have to have James Carville.
Booger McFarland.
Yep.
Yes.
The governor.
Yeah. The governor.
Governor would have to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put T-Bob in there, lighten the mood a little bit.
T-Bob would definitely – you got to put Moscona on there, right?
Sure. He's a Louisiana State graduate.
You go and sell it. I can't think of anybody else. I know that there are others, but, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good panel right there. Yeah. So LSU is still searching for a coach.
Apparently so. And according to Shaq, they've had conversations with Nick Saban.
Now, Dan Lanning, it'd probably be a little more.
Maybe they're talking to Nick about Dan Lanning.
Maybe they are.
Dan Lanning was, an analyst for Nick Saban.
Or LSU's talking about Glenn Schumann.
Another person that was an analyst at Alabama.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Especially with that job and how it all shakes out. And if we get the reports of – I'm just imagining the governor in there and saying, this is who I want, and then you get somebody else saying, no, this is who I want, and then all of a sudden chaos just breaking out. Katie barred the door.
Yep. Hey, speaking of coaches, haven't had a chance to ask you, are you fired up about Walt Weiss? Have you renewed your Atlanta Braves season tickets?
I'm meh. Just here's the thing. I assume because it took as long as it did that they were going to bring in somebody from the outside. So I was not prepared. I mean, Walt Weiss is fine. You're going to keep a lot of the infrastructure in place the Braves way. I guess Anthopoulos was excited about it. Maybe he did his due diligence and actually interviewed other people, but it makes it look like that all of this has kind of been a charade and going through the motions. Like, yeah, we really – I assumed it was going to be the Dodgers guy or somebody from the outside.
Well, here's the interesting part. So Walt Weiss is
with it.
He's 61 years old. He's a former shortstop. He played 14 years in Major League Baseball, including his final 3 with the Braves. He earned an All-Star game nod in 1998. He was Rookie of the Year back in 1988 with the A's. He went to North Carolina. I forgot he went to the University of North Carolina.
I did too.
He was manager of the Rockies from 2013 through 2016. He's the 5th all-time winningest manager in Colorado Rockies history. He won 283 games, lost 365. This morning, Barrett Saleh, he posted this on Twitter, which was interesting. He says, Alex Anthopoulos said that he had some conversations with people over the weekend and had a few more conversations on Monday. He said that he had been leaning towards Walt Weiss anyway and ultimately made the decision later in the day to make the call that it was going to be Walt Weiss. So up until the weekend, he was still having conversations with people.
Well, if you were blaming that coaching staff or Brian Snitker on the Braves' woeful performance last season, I guess Alex Anthopoulos and the front office see it differently.
I guess so.
I mean, I would imagine that Weiss makes some changes, but how much shakeup do you really get on that staff? Remains to be seen.
I was like, I was just shocked. Not that I find anything just grossly wrong with Walt Weiss being the manager.
No.
It's just, if that was the case the whole time, then why wasn't he not named?
And that's
like weeks ago.
That's kind of where I go.
Not that they could do anything because free agency hasn't opened up yet, but still, I mean, you could have, checked that box and moved on. But
or maybe you talked to him initially and said, yeah, maybe there's some better guys out there. You go and interview him and go, what are we doing?
Yeah, our guys right here.
I think the pros outweigh the cons.
And listen, it might happen at Auburn that way.
In place.
It might be like, we're going to go talk to all these people, and then at the end of the day,
Durkin says
we're going to circle back. I mean, because I've seen some video this morning of practice, extremely hands-on. I mean, he's been a head coach before. I mean, so he was
the thing that struck me, Pat, yesterday in meeting with the media is Durkin was authentic. He was authentic. That was not coach speak. You know it when you hear it. That was a guy who genuinely loves the game, loves what he does, and I can see why players respond to it. You win some football games, it's going to get interesting.
Yep.
Because you ain't got that many left, and the ones you got left are pretty big.
When we come back, we will continue with your phone calls, 1-800-239-WJOX. This is Jock's Three-Man Front live from Social Taco. It is 12:34 on an absolutely gorgeous Tuesday. Thanks for tuning us in. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. And as the weather turns, now's the time to get your mowers and tractors serviced by the end of the season. And Artec Tractor is the place to do it. They're your certified Mahindra servicing dealer, and just in time for the hunting season, their hunter's package includes a Mahindra 1635 with loader, trailer, bush hog, tiller, and spreader. Offers 0 down and just $450 per month. Artec has a full line of tractors as well as heavy construction equipment for those big jobs just north of Jasper on Highway 5 or online at artectractor.com.
By the way, before we get back to our phone calls, are you going to order the chicken feathers? Are we doing that today?
I thought you had ordered them.
All right, I'll order them.
Okay.
I was just making sure. Sorry, some housekeeping notes there. 800-239 WJOX. I'm sorry, Conrad. Who did you say was next?
Let's go to Todd next.
Sounds good. Todd, welcome into Three-Man Front.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Todd.
Arkansas listener for a long time. Listening to all y'all talking about coaches. Rhett Lashley, he's not leaving SMU. He's got ties to Arkansas all the way up there with Gus in high school. And depends on if Tyson and Walton money wants to pay for him.
What do you think it would take to get him? What do you think it would take to get him?
I don't know. What's his buyout? I don't know that.
Well, he just signed a 2-year extension over the weekend, or agreed to one.
That wouldn't be publicized, though, would it, as far as the buyout?
And I'm not really sure because SMU is a private institution. So
yeah, we were told, though, early on, and I'm trying to remember who it was from Arkansas that we had on, that they said that Arkansas was willing to pay top dollar if they were going to get that guy worthy of it. So.
Well, I'm from Arkansas, but I went to Mississippi State.
Okay. How was that weekend?
I was about to say, that was an interesting weekend for you.
Yeah, it was. Everybody hated me this weekend. Everybody hated me up here this weekend. I adopted a son last year, and one of the first things he got was cowbell. He's been to Davis Wade and playing cowbells all day long.
Davis Wade's going to be allowed this weekend for Georgia.
Yeah, it is. I don't give us much chance this weekend. How about y'all?
I actually do give you a chance. I mean, I've been impressed on what has happened over the last month in regards to look at all the almosts for this Mississippi State football team. I mean, they haven't quit. I know they haven't got a lot of losses, a lot of wins, but man, I'm telling you what, I like what I see. I like what Jeff Lebby's doing.
Lose. We figure out ways to lose, but Lebby's got it on a completely different trajectory. Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Lebby's a good coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach, and those kids are performing real well. Those wins will come.
Yeah, I was sad when the Pirate died.
Yes,
we all were. Todd, thank you for the phone call. Hail State, good luck to your team this weekend.
Yeah.
Let's continue with the calls. Let's go to Larry, I believe. Larry.
Hey, guys, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just want to make a comment or got a couple of questions. With respect to what Bama has left on their schedule, guys, y'all do this every day. This is your livelihood. But what is the SEC known for? We know what they're known for, but it's defense. And what Alabama's got left on their schedule with LSU's D, Oklahoma's D, and then Auburn's defense, I'm not saying we're going to win those games. We have a shot at winning them, obviously, but if you can win those games, I just don't know. With all the teams that Alabama's already played, do y'all agree or disagree with me there? If they can win out, that's the big if they can. And then number two, the fact that now that NIL and everything that's transpired over the last 4 or 5 years of college football, and that was one of Saban's, I think, key factors of him stepping down as coach. Do you now think, or do you believe now, with respect to all the different universities having to pay these big contracts to these coaches? You know, what were the stipulations in reference to Saban? I know everybody knows Saban's the greatest, he's the GOAT, whatever. But, Saban's contract was so unique in a way that if he didn't produce, there were certain stipulations that said that he would do what? I remember reading something to that effect. Guys, this is what y'all do. I'm just asking, but now that they're having to pay, obviously, Coach Freeze $15 million and then other coaches 15, 30, 40, 50 million, now that all this is a key factor to the way these players are being paid now, don't you think that these attorneys are – I don't know. I'm just throwing it on the table, guys, and asking your opinion.
Well, I can tell you the one thing about Nick Saban's contract when he came to Alabama, and it was in every contract after that, Nick Saban could walk out the door tomorrow and there wasn't a penalty. There was not any type of so-called buyout. Like if he wanted to go to another school in college football, if he wanted to do this or do that, he had the freedom and luxury to do so. Now, obviously, if the university, which they were never going to be in a situation to fire him unless it was something that was against university policy or he broke a law or something like that, they could get rid of him without having to pay him. But he was free to come and go as he pleased. And at least on paper, it looked like that he had signed a long-term deal at Alabama. But in all actuality, it was basically kind of a year-to-year deal. I mean, if Nick wanted to come back and do it, Bama wanted to have him, and most of the time he obliged him until that final year in which they lost at Michigan.
Let me ask you this, though, guys, but even with respect to what you just said there, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, everybody knew that Freeze was coming to Auburn. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of hype, whatever. But as the years that go by, coaches are still losing significantly of 3 years that he's had there. Can they not factor into their contracts things that, you don't do this and you don't produce this, you can, you know what I'm saying. I'm just asking.
Yeah. Well, no, they can. They can. This is something that I was educated on last year with one particular coaching search is where the school, and I'm not naming it just because it's not important to go back through it, but the school and the AD said, okay, we will go up to this level as far as guaranteed, and this is what you're going to make, but there's going to be, if you want to hit that particular number, 10 million, 11 million, there's going to be escalators. There's going to be incentives that your client can hit that we'd be prepared to pay. Client agreed to it, and then client's representation said, whoa. No, we're not doing that. Because the agent knew that there was another school where they could get that money, and that's where the problem lies. I don't think you're going to see as many massive buyouts as we've seen in the past, and schools are going to be more conscious of it. But I don't think it's going to go away entirely. It just depends, I guess, on a case-by-case basis of who you're trying to hire. I just wondered now with, like, the Brian Kellys and these others, do these athletic departments start viewing this as more of just a 3-year window? Kind of like the NFL, it seems like they view it. It's a 3-year window, and then we'll reassess after 3 years. But it takes two to tango, and you got to have the Jimmy Sextons of the world to agree to it, and they've been reluctant in the past.
Well, something's got to change in the future because of the universities, and now that the fact that what they're dealing with and paying these players. Y'all know this a lot better than I do. But in regards to what y'all were talking about earlier, don't get me wrong, guys. Don't let me pull out my barf bag. But Ohio State and Indiana, name some defenses that they played. They're 1 and 2. What do you do? I'm thinking. No disrespect. They earned it. They're national champions, but they beat Texas by 7 early in the year. But just name somebody defensively that they played it.
Well, here's something that I'm not sure that they're going to bring up tonight on the award-winning college football playoff selection show or whatever they're having. But the bottom 1/3 of the Big Ten is a combined 2-31 in conference play. Let that sink in. 1/3 of the Big Ten is a combined 2-31 in conference play. Both wins are versus other teams in the bottom 1/3 of the league. Oregon has 6 FBS wins versus teams that are combined 3-23. That's who Oregon has been beating up on. And the 3 wins are against UCLA and Purdue. So, again, it's a situation that the Big Ten, you've got, I'm not saying that Ohio State's not good. I'm not saying Indiana's not good. But when you look at the totality of that league right now, they are not performing. So, Larry, what you brought up about who they've played defensively, that is a legitimate conversation that they need to be having in that room under the CFP rankings.
Did you know they're going to have some resounding argument for the Big Ten always? But guys, love the show. While I'm on the road. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it very much. We will continue with your calls and your texts. This is Three Man Front. We are live at Social Taco. It is 12:48. Welcome back. This is Three Man Front. We are live at Social Taco. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Top of the hour, Dimitri Ravanos from SEC Unfiltered. He will join the show. Don't forget, tonight, the College Football Playoff Rankings Show. Be the first one of the year. We were just kind of talking about some of the Big Ten issues with their strength of schedule. We'll see if we'll get that transparency tonight, Landrum, or the post-game. That's what we like to call it when they kind of break out the media scrum afterwards. They do the Zoom call, and they do a kind of a little mini press conference, and the media asks these questions, and then we'll get to see what they have to say about the transparency and the strength of schedule. Because the Big Ten, obviously, not very good outside of Ohio State and Indiana.
No, but think about what we've avoided with the Big Ten. Thank you, Penn State. We don't have to go through your sorry schedule and debate whether you should be worthy of one of those playoff spots. Thank you, Illinois, you preseason pretenders that you were. Yes, everybody beating that drum. I appreciate Kurt Signetti and what Indiana did to them to put an emphatic no on the possibility of the Fighting Illini making a college football playoff.
And thank you, Mario Cristobal, for
Thank you, Mario.
proving to everybody that Miami is still Miami, and Miami will never be anything more than what they are.
Clemson, Dabo, thank you.
He's on the y'all bus heading out of town.
Yep, but that was one of those teams that I had. I thought Clemson
I did too.
was
I'll be the first person to admit I had
legit.
Clemson. I was like Trey Wallace.
what they had coming back, talking to members of their staff, and trust me, members of their staff just as surprised at the outcome this year as they are. I mean, that thing's about to just get gutted. It might be just Dabo left when it's all said and done.
Might
I'm
not even
kidding.
be Dabo left.
Or it might not be Dabo left. You're right.
All right, so there's a lot of projections out there about the college football playoff, and I know that Heather Dinich was on the show about a week ago, and Heather's list. She's currently her top four. She's got Ohio State, Indiana, Bama, and Texas A&M. That's her top four, which would get first-round buys. So I was reading The Athletic this morning, and I've not seen. Kudos to them. This is kind of out there. This is not the typical projections. So according to The Athletic, they've got Ohio State 1, not a big news story there. 2, Indiana, okay. 3, Texas A&M, okay. Guess who they have fourth?
Oh, goodness.
BYU.
It is not Alabama.
If it's not Alabama, they have got Texas. You said Texas A&M was third?
Yes, Texas A&M is third.
Oh, goodness. Tell me it's not Georgia.
It is not Georgia.
Okay. Well. Ole Miss.
You got it.
What? Really?
Yep. They've got Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Ole Miss 4. So then they've got Oregon and Texas Tech. That's 8 and 9. They would play. The winner of that game would play Ohio State. Bama, Conrad, they would get a home game. Are you ready? North Texas.
Sign me up for that. I know that people are going to hate when I say this, but selfishly, I don't want Alabama to win the SEC because I want them to get a home playoff game in Bryant-Denny.
Okay. Well, if you beat
Selfishly.
North Texas,
You will, but that game's going over.
if you beat North Texas,
It's not going to be comfortable.
you play Ole Miss next round.
I like that.
That's a good tune-up game.
Yep. Notre Dame is a 7 seed against the 10 seed Louisville. The winner of that game would play Indiana. Do we really need to say Notre Dame and Indiana again?
I like to see it because I think Indiana would pound them.
Then Georgia would be a 6 seed. They would take on the 11 seed Georgia Tech.
Oh, let's do that one again. What?
Wow,
that
two
would
twice
be
in 3
a couple of
weeks?
weeks
Yeah.
removed?
I like that.
Yep. And then the winner of that game would play Texas A&M. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
I had not seen North Texas before. Hadn't seen Louisville. Georgia Tech now has fallen a little bit, but yeah, that would be perplexing and interesting to see Georgia and Georgia Tech after just the all-out hate played at the end of the season, and then a couple weeks later they are playing again. But according to The Athletic, Indiana and Ohio State, they have a 99% chance of making the college football playoff, along with Texas A&M. Ole Miss is at 96%. Bama is at 91%, and Georgia is 89%. So those are the top 6, according to The Athletic, with the best shot at making the college football playoff. I was also playing around with some what-if scenarios, and according to ESPN, Bama is currently the 4th best odds to make the college football playoff at 93%. If Bama were to beat LSU, but they lose to Oklahoma, and then they win the Iron Bowl, but then they lose the SEC championship game. So you following me?
Yeah.
Win, loss, win, loss.
So you'd
it'd
be 10 and 3
They
once
have
all
a-
said and done.
They have a 90% chance of making the college football playoff, even with those losses.
Wow.
That's how strong Alabama is currently. Now, if Alabama were to beat LSU, beat Oklahoma, but they lose the Iron Bowl and the SEC title game, the odds are still at 93% to make the college football playoff.
Feeling better, Conrad?
I mean, I'm not particularly concerned anyways, but yeah, I mean, if you go 10 and 2 in the SEC, you're going to make the playoff. Like, that's not a surprise.
What a difference a month and a half makes.
Yeah.
Yes, very
I'm
much
not
so.
concerned at all.
But it all starts Saturday night. You can't lose to LSU.
Well, no, I just mean in terms of
When you're
if
talking
they
like this
handle
is the
their
best
business.
Alabama team that you've ever seen in your lifetime.
Oh, it's not.
The
It's-
short 29
it's
years
far
you've been
from
on
that.
this earth.
It is far from the best that
I
I've
thought he
seen.
was 21.
24, 25, whatever. Leap year.
I just meant I'm not concerned in this case of unless Alabama absolutely tanks and loses to Oklahoma, let's say Oklahoma and Auburn, they're going to be in a good spot. They're gonna be
Conrad,
fine.
do you believe eye test? Does eye test tell you Alabama's the best team in the country?
No. Ohio State's the best team in the country.
Wow. Okay.
So if Ohio State's the best team in the country, don't we need to give Texas a little more credit? They lost by 7.
Yeah.
That's what I keep hearing. Did you watch that football game to start the season?
Me?
No, I'm just saying anybody.
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
2 great defenses that day.
Is that what you call them? Now, I know Ohio.
That's what we called it at the time.
Oh. That was y'all should have shaken off all of this rust before you made me watch this and dedicate my afternoon to watching what I thought was going to be a great football game. Just because the score's close doesn't mean it was a great game. I said close again.